Welcome to the Yes You May podcast with me, Amanda May Gray. Thank you for joining us today. If you are here live or if you're on the replay, I truly appreciate it. If you're listening on the podcast on Apple and Spotify, go ahead and give a review. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see more of. Let me know in the comments. And since this is a live stream podcast, you get to watch live on Facebook or YouTube. If you are here now with us, hi, you are welcome to make any comments you like. And if they're appropriate, I shouldn't say any comments. I shouldn't say it like that. I'm going to make myself in trouble, but we will definitely address them and we can have a live conversation. Today is going to be all about motivation and accountability and whatever else comes up. And I have a very special guest, a good friend of mine who is simply fabulous. Her name is Renee, and she is at Renee Motivates. I'm going to bring her in right now because I don't really want to waste any more time. Renee Terrell.
Hey.
How are you?
Amanda? I am great. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm excited to be here.
Yay, I'm so excited you said yes to me. Oh, and that was a play on my title. Look at me doing things I didn't even know. So tell me, Miss Renee, tell my lovely viewers out there. We have three right now. Hey guys, welcome to the show. What is it you do? What are you up to? Tell me more about this Renee Motivates because I need it.
Well, I am Renee Terrell and I am doing Renee Motivates. I help business owners, service providers, and ministries expand their digital presence, monetize their message, and attract their ideal clients with ease. And the way that I do that is through simple steps. Practical proven strategies, things that you can implement today to start seeing results in your business or your nonprofit organization or whatever it is that you do. And my model, just my passion, the real reason why I do what I do is because I believe that everyone has a responsibility to place their stamp on the world. And their stamp is that uniqueness that is the total sum of who they are. It's the walking miracle that each and every one of us are. And presenting that to the world is necessary because if you don't do it, if you don't show up, if you don't do your business, do your product or sell your service, whatever it is that you do, no one else will. There will never be another person that will walk this earth that looks like you, talks like you, acts like you, thinks of the creative, innovative ideas like you do. So if you don't leave anything on the world, then the world will be a little less brighter because it didn't have your stamp. And so I'm committed to helping people place their stamp on the world.
Well, I don't even know if we need anything else. I mean, that was like, boom. Ladies and gentlemen, if you were wondering why I brought Renee on, wonder no more. And yes, Michael Dugan, awesome energy. This is why she's here. I love her so much. Renee, you're so right. That was something I kind of realized recently was like, if you're not putting yourself out there, you're actually doing a disservice because, and this is how I think of it. Like if I didn't see Toastmasters, right? If they didn't put it out there, I wouldn't have been able to join and I wouldn't have been able to grow. If I didn't see my mentors at Stage Time University, if I didn't see their stuff, I wouldn't have joined, wouldn't have grown, so you have to, it is your duty to put yourself out there, offer your services, offer your products, and try to make the world a better place. Like it's just mandatory.
It's mandatory and it's necessary though, right? Because every product, service, anything you offer, anything you do is a solution to someone else's problem. So when you're showing up and giving your motivation, saying, yes, you may get on stage and speak. Yes, you may be that talker, be that person who has that product or that class or whatever. Yes, you may get on camera and I can teach you how to do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G so that when you're speaking, people can really retain what you're saying and then their lives are changed. You are a solution to their problem. So when you show up you're showing up to be a solution. I remind people all the time, no matter what I do, I'm always saying there are over 7 billion people in the world. 7 billion.
So
That
crazy.
means you need more than one service, one product, one company. It doesn't matter if there are other people that do what you do, they don't do it in the way that you do it. And so the people that are connected to me or connect with me may not be the same people that is going to connect to Amanda. But
Right.
both of us are necessary in the marketplace because one person cannot service over 7 billion people in the world. It's just not possible. Not even 100 companies, not even 1,000, not even millions. There are billions of people in the world. And so they need it. And if you think about yourself, right, you can scroll down your list. Like you said, you listed Toastmasters. You talked about your mentors at Stage Time, right? So you need more than one entity, one organization, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the same thing. That's the same thing when it comes to your business, your book. I don't care if you're talking about the same topics. It's necessary that everybody shows up.
Amen to that. I mean, I think of it like this. How many times does it take for you to see the same message before it clicks? I mean, maybe it's once, maybe. And maybe, me putting something out there is just one of the 10 times. Maybe it's the first, maybe it's the 8th, maybe it's the 10th that actually got you going. But we all have to see things multiple times before we really start to believe and start to take action and start to do. Even if you don't realize it, sometimes it's subconscious. One thing I put this morning was like, who you inspire is beyond what you know. But often, who you're inspiring, they don't even realize you inspired them in the way that they did.
Yeah.
So you're just part of somebody else's journey and mission. And if you are not helping, if you're not putting it out there, like, you're missing out on your own fulfillment for life and helping another life and potentially receiving more in return, right? Like you said, you might connect with somebody, Renee, that I don't connect with, which is totally fine, but we also can help each other.
Exactly.
We can work together to help then reach even more. So it's so important to just, you almost have to put your ego aside, right? It's like you have to push your ego out there to do it, but also put it aside and saying like, oh, who am I to do this? Who am I to think that this is a good idea? Who needs to give me permission? Nobody. You already have the permission. Do it, right? Go and be it. All right, we're just diving right in. We're just not.
No. I mean, I'm with you though. I'm just agreeing with like, yes, Amanda, yes, right? Because everything you're saying, it's true. I mean, you have to put yourself out there, and it takes the courage to say that it's enough, right? It doesn't matter if you have one person on your live or nobody on your live. It doesn't matter if you have 10,000 views or one view. Each time you learn something different, you put something out there and you become better at what it is that you do. Even think about famous people. They don't always just start out, right? They might have 10, 20 years before they make it big or they have that moment or that opportunity where the light is shined on them. But then guess what people do? They go back and go from the beginning and find them 30 years ago when they were first out there with their home camcorder and it was wobbling and they're, hi, I'm John, I'm happy to be here, right? And then they go back. So you just never know how what you do is going to have an impact later on. And that's the beautiful thing about social media, about branding, about marketing, is that it lasts forever. Now, for some people, it's gotten them in trouble, but for other people, it works out well because people can recognize that, this is not Amanda's first rodeo. She didn't just start speaking. She's been speaking. She didn't just show up here and now she's on this platform or this big screen or this big radio station. She was back here doing it from the beginning. And therefore, they see the progression and the growth and the hard work. And that builds that authenticity that lets somebody know that, you can do it. And don't allow what you think is not happening to be the thing that stops you. Just know that every time you're showing up, you're going to help somebody, even if it's just yourself, to have the confidence to know that this is what I'm supposed to do. Show up.
Yes, exactly. It's having that confidence. And I want to give a shout out to David Lawhorn. He says, love this, Amanda. And I see you, Renee. Hi, David. Both of our friends. Thank you for joining. David was on too at one point.
Yes, giant.
You said something interesting. You said about how when famous people get there, they didn't start off. And there's two things about this that brought up in my mind. One, we often hear of the overnight success story, which is basically never the case. You're never an overnight success story. There's all this stuff that you're doing, and you're building momentum. And then all of a sudden, poof, everything works. But it wasn't really overnight. So you got to remember that. Like, nobody's truly an overnight success unless they just happen to put out a viral video that, I don't know, they made a mistake and fell. That's the only time. But there's not really overnight success. There's a lot of work that you don't see and that other people don't necessarily say much, but they see you doing things. And then the second thing is, like, huge people have teams.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Tony Robbins isn't doing this by himself.
No.
Mel Robbins isn't doing it by herself.
No.
Lewis Howes on The School of Greatness. I love all these people. They're not doing it by themselves. They've got a whole team of people at this point that are able to help them with all the things that push it out there. So you can't compare yourself to that, A, and B, you got to understand, like, there's plenty of room because they're just one person who probably has 20, 50, like, how many people are helping them?
Even if they had 20 million people.
Hello. Right.
Still 7 billion.
So there's still,
I mean, still 7 billion. Okay, we can throw out, let's just say half of that, 3 billion, right?
It's still crazy numbers. Yeah. I want to ask you, so you got Motivates, and that's something that personally I do as well. I think I'm getting there, but I've struggled with a lot is keeping myself motivated. And it's actually easier to motivate other people than it is to motivate yourself. So what do you find in your life when you're having those hard times? What do you do? How do you motivate yourself? How do you get back in the game? What do you do?
Okay, well, that's a great question. That's a great question. Like, what's with that, right? So the first thing is that I teach my clients, and it's what I practice myself. We focus on facts, not feelings. Right. So I know that the fact is I have to do this. I have to put this video out. I don't care if I felt like I look crazy today. I have to do it. I have to, put out this content. I have to make sure that I show up because there are people that are depending on me in order to do so. So I focus on the facts of what I need to do versus the opinion or the feelings, because feelings are flighty. Right. They're 1 minute today, you're happy. The next minute you're mad. You're ready to choke everybody out. Right. But it's just temporary. It's not the real answer. It's not the long-term answer. The next thing is that I take time to be able to just rewind, like unwind, relax, and things that bring enjoyment to me. Like, I play tennis. I love playing tennis. So I play tennis. I go hang out with friends. I throw, barbecues and stuff for people to come over and just hang out and relax, because those are the things that refuel me and prepare me for whatever the week has to present to me, or those times where I'm feeling like, I need to get away. And the next thing is that it's what I teach my clients is just practical strategies, right? You have to have a strategy so that you can balance and manage what it is that you're doing, whether it's an influx of clientele, you get put on new platforms. Something Amanda talked about was teams, having a team. Well, when you first start out, you may not be able to afford a team,
right?
You may not have a team, right? So when it's just a one-man show, one-woman show, or a small group of committed people working together, how do we get to the next level? And one of the things that's important about that beginning stage is that it helps you know what you need when you need it. It helps you to identify these are the areas where I'm weak or we are weak. And so when we get our first ability to offer or get, where we can afford somebody else, we're going to staff that position first, right? Because that's the area where we struggle the most. And then it also helps you to be able to know your voice, know what you do, know your passion, know what you want to come across. Because when you're hiring hiring people to be your copywriters, to be your graphic designers and other things like that, you need to be able to tell them clear visions of what you want. You want to make sure that they can write in your voice, that they can speak in your voice, that your imagery shows really your vision and your passion for your organization. So in this beginning stages, the more that you get to know yourself, understand yourself, and grow, the better you're going to be in the long term. Another thing that I help my clients do and even focus on, no matter what stage they're in, because some are beginners just starting out, but others are well-established businesses or organizations, nonprofit and for-profit, who need to expand digitally and don't know how. I help them focus on your structure. Like, what is your process? What is your procedures? How do you take your client from the beginning of the process to the end? What kind of quality assurances do you have in place in your process as your clients are going through, whether they are buying a product or a service? What is their experience like when they get to your website, when they're purchasing your product? What is the ease of them being able to see something that they want and being able to take advantage of it by purchasing it or buying it? Do they have to click on pop-up windows and this side window and go there? Do they get lost in the checkout process? What is your follow-up? How are you making sure that you're keeping in contact with your clients or those who have bought products from you? And the same thing when it comes to your services. What is your quality assurance? How are you checking to make sure that your clients are enjoying the process of working with you? What are your checks and balances and your accountability for those clients and also for yourself? How do you know that you're hitting the metrics or you're not? Those things are important, and those things need to be not only in place, but reviewed regularly so that you can make sure that you adjust with the times. I mean, think about the pandemic, right? When it hit, it jolted a lot of people, but those who already had processes in place, who already had a level of digital expertise or knew that they needed to transfer that, then they were able to say, you know what, this area we need to be stronger in, or this is how we make sure that we garner the people who came live. We've now pinned something on our chat so that they can link to us if they want to stay more connected. We made sure that we have our lighting correctly, so we're not looking like dark shadows and I know everybody's been in the Zoom meet where you're looking up somebody's nose,
right? They're like over here,
off, and the camera's looking crazy, right? Right, they're to the side of the film. They're like, we can't see you, Shirley.
The pet peeves. You're like picking up all my pet peeves about being on camera. I'm like, oh, come on.
And that's why you have that course, okay? How to communicate on camera, because it's necessary. And Amanda, one thing that I can say I love about Amanda is so many. But first, I love her voice. Okay, let's start there. I love her voice. All right. I love the way she shows up on camera ready. I love just the information and the energy that comes from her. But that's an art. That's a skill. You can scroll through just your social media and look at videos and be like, someone.
That's true. That you got a point. Yeah.
Someone
it's not as easy.
So when you see those people, tag Amanda so she can reach out. Tell her, you know what?
Hey, I don't want to say that you're not doing a great job, but I know a person that could help you do a better job.
She'll really help you get yourself together. Set up right, Michael. Amanda rocks. Like, what you need, she has. Because people don't even understand the art of that. Like, hands in the way, talking fast, shifting, moving, rocking, all of those different things mess up somebody's ability to communicate with you. And then on camera, there's so many other things that you have to take into consideration. Call Amanda. At the end of the day, call Amanda. Yes, you may.
Yes, you may. You can look great on camera. I promise. It's not that hard. It actually kind of brings me to a point that you kind of touched on a little bit, and I have been harping on with people for a while, and that is to lower the barrier of entry.
Yeah.
This is huge. You can't sit there and have, it be 10 steps for somebody to accomplish something that you're trying to get them to do, right? Like, that's why we go live on Facebook, where you are, on YouTube, where you are. That's why I don't just put this podcast out as a recording only. I put it out in a whole bunch of places. And I'm not worried about like the metrics of one versus the other. I'm just putting it out wherever you may be, wherever you're listening. I try to make it as easy as possible for you to obtain it. But that is so true, not only in business, but also if you need a favor from somebody, right? Like you have got to make it as easy and accessible as possible for people to do what you're asking, whether that's buying from you, whether that's leaving a review, whether that's, buying your course. Like you've got to make it as easy as possible, as straightforward as possible so that people can actually do it. I mean, the unfortunate part is we all have an attention span of a butterfly, right? Whatever bug you want to use, or goldfish. I don't care. Doesn't matter. And it's true for me too. Like if I start watching something and it doesn't catch my attention, I'm like, I'm over this. Even a blog post article, like I'll be reading something. I'm like, okay, get to the point. No, all right, I'm done. I'm over this. So you've got to capture the attention and pull it in and just start. Just like get right into it. Right. Just like we started this, like I just started talking and we just dove right in. We didn't waste a whole bunch of time, like with a whole bunch of crap. No, let's just start talking. Let's start doing, lower that barrier of entry and get people to have the accessibility that you want them to have. And it's so much more important than I think people realize or are willing to admit or put the time into. But it's so much easier if you have the right tools. So you can not have a big team, right? Like I don't have a big team, but I use some really amazing tools like this tool right here called StreamYard. I use Canva, a tool to make all these graphic-y things. That's a technical term, ladies and gentlemen, graphic-y things.
Look it up.
I'm just saying. Renee, you introduced me to an app called Switch It that allowed me to put my contact information, my social accounts, everything in one spot so I can text it to somebody, I can email it to somebody, they can scan. Oh, I can show you guys if you could see me right now. They can scan this QR code right here. Oh, hey. Hey. And it'll link to all those things so you have quick access because I can't expect people to remember how to spell May. It's 3 letters. I can't expect you to remember that, right? Like, I can't be like, oh yeah, just follow the SU May podcast. And then like, that's it. No, I got to make it as easy for you as possible. So there are tools out there for you to be able to do it. You got to find them, but you're not going to find them all on your own. So when you have friends and you collaborate and you share ideas with other people, then things can start to happen for the better, which is why it's so important that when you have something cool, you share it out there. Just because you just don't know where it's going to go. You don't know how that person can then adapt that thing and then make it better. And then you get to take the benefit that you would never even thought of. It's huge.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm off my
I'm like, yes, what she said. What she said. I mean, a great thing is like Amanda took it to another level. Like she showed me like she puts her QR code in her Zoom meeting. So if you want to connect, anybody Zoom can just boom.
Like, and it was so easy, but if you hadn't showed me the app and then I was on Clubhouse and somebody was like, oh, they made their profile picture a QR code. And I was like, bing, light bulb. I was like, where else could I use that idea, right? And so I adapted it, but it's just sharing that information freely. And then we all get to benefit because you're never going to be the master of everything. You're never going to figure everything all out, right? So much more happens when we collaborate. And that's one of the biggest challenges when you are like a solopreneur, right? Is to figure things out by yourself and feel so alone, right? Isn't it lonely at times? That's why it's so important to have
lonely at the top. It's lonely at the top, slowly at the bottom.
Because you guys, it can be lonely everywhere.
You're right. Okay, that's a whole nother session.
You gotta go out there and make your friends.
Definitely, but network. So again, you're looking at the greats. The only difference between all the people that you may like or say, hey, I would love to be like, or something of that nature, is that they did it anyway. They were afraid, they did it anyway. They were scared. They did it anyway. And if you look back at their beginning careers, I mean, back when they had flyers only and things of that nature, they collaborated and they still collaborate today. You see great names always coming together with some crazy impactful conference, or 2 or 3 of them get together. And it's the same thing with like social media, digital marketing. No matter what you do, you are exposing people to what you do, your content. But when you bring other people on, that helps them become even better, and vice versa. Now you're exposed to their people and their content and what they do. So you're basically helping each other just by showing up. It's just that simple. Just by showing up, you're helping each other grow, helping each other come better.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. And I mean, if nothing else, you're just lifting each other up and you're feeling better, right? Mm-hmm. I had somebody, I was talking to my mentor yesterday, and he's having some, family health things. And he's like, well, it's okay. I got Amanda I can talk to lift me up. And I was like, oh, like, he's my mentor. He teaches me things, but in return, just because I'm extra, we're going to call a spade a spade. He's like, I just love your energy. Right. That is that I have learned. Always interesting with me, never a dull day with Amanda May Gray. But you don't know what you're going to get out of it until you try it too. So I think one of the big lessons I learned this past year was like, don't just try to pursue your dreams, your goals, your business, like solo. Like do it solo, but find another group of people who are trying to do the same thing you're doing, no matter what level they're at, and like get in that community, seeing other people doing things, bouncing ideas off of each other, and just not feeling alone, not feeling so dang, solo, which brings us to accountability. Look how like natural this just went right into it. Just poof. Yeah. Accountability is so hard by yourself, or at least it is for me.
Yeah. Yes. That's why you need a coach. That's why you need a coach. That's why you need a mentor. You need somebody that is going to hold you accountable and checks and say, well, hey, I know. So that way it's like, you don't get to give up. Oh, no, I know, but this is what you said you wanted to do. So now let's work together, and so that we can make sure you get there, because you're giving up on yourself. You're giving up on all the people who need your product or your service or whatever it is that you do. So I'm not going to let you quit. I'm not going to let you quit on yourself. I'm not going to let you quit on anybody else. And I always use the example of just like lifting weights. The more yes, it's hurt, it's painful, especially when you get to the end and your arms and muscles and everything are shaking.
Oh, the next day.
Right. And then, but the more that you do it, you've gotten a little bit stronger each and every time. And then you have that trainer, that coach, or that person that's like, do it again. And you're like, I don't have anything left. And you like, do it again. And then you do it and you realize, wow, I didn't know I was me. Right? I didn't know I had all that in me. I didn't know. And so that motivates you to push yourself to do even more. And then other people who get to see that, they get to watch that, they get to observe you, whether from afar or up close. And they're saying, well, Amanda's doing it. I'm going to do it. And then the unique thing about it that you said I love is being honest about your journey. The more authentic you are, the more people connect with you, because they know it's not always easy for everybody. It's not always rainbows and sunshine. Sometimes there's some cloudy, stormy days, and just being honest to say that, you know what, today is a cloudy day. Can do wonders, because then people don't have to live up to the falsehood of needing to be perfect. And that goes back to you saying, have a low barrier of entry. You don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be great. My beginning videos, crazy, right? But every time I do it, I get better. My first live, a whole mess, right?
Whole mess. I mean, I went live on Instagram for the first time yesterday, and I didn't know how to stop it. It was so bad, and I didn't know how to save it, and I had to redo it. And I was like, well, all right. I go live all the time, and yet I totally messed up Instagram.
A different platform. And then they change. And that's the other thing too. Like all of them change all the time. And so you got to do it.
You got to do it. You got to keep trying. You got to keep going. Let's see. What do we got here?
I need yes, you may do it. I love this yes, you may thing. Yes,
I
can
wish I
do
could
it.
say I came up with it, but we have to give a shout out to Kevin Burke, one of my
Kevin
coaches. Woohoo, Kevin! He came up with the name, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, you sure that's it? Are you sure? And I did a poll, and it was like, oh my God, almost unanimous. Everybody was like, that name, obviously. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, well, all right, fine.
Yeah.
But still, that is something in itself, right? Like, I wasn't sure about the name. And then when you crowdsource an idea and you ask other people for help, you're getting outside opinion that is valid, that helps reinforce your own beliefs. And it did create accountability, because as soon as that poll went up, then I was like, well, dang, man, I got to start this thing. I got to figure this out, because now I put it out in the world.
Where's it at?
Right, exactly. Now I got to do it. I mean, so accountability is huge, because it's so easy to just not do anything, to just let yourself mess around on your phone, right? And not take that next step. And I've super struggled with this, super struggled with like getting things going, keep going, finding accountability. And just, I think one of the things that you can do as a person, whether you're the one trying to be accountable or you see other people doing things, you can just do that word of encouragement. And it will completely change somebody else's life. Just saying like, I see you, I see what you're doing, I love it, and keep going, keep doing. Because when you're doing something, it's really easy to feel like nobody cares. And people aren't, especially if you're doing it publicly, right? Like, this is super public. Super scary. And it's hard because not everybody's going to like it that sees it. Not everybody's going to comment. And then like just last week, I had a friend of mine who I hadn't seen, since February of 2020. And he was like, I see what you're doing. I love the progress you're making. You got to keep going. And I was kind of second guessing myself with everything. Like, I didn't have a lot of motivation. I was kind of like, I don't know what to do next. I don't know where to go. And just him saying that, I was like, dang, man, like, thanks. Like, it meant so much to me, and it didn't take much for him to do it. So I want to encourage other people, don't be shy to comment, to, let people know privately, DM somebody when they're doing something good. Be that word of encouragement, because just doing that, even though it feels like, why would I do this? Is it going to get anything back for me? Because we're so me-centric. It will. It's good karma. Because if you don't think karma is real, well, that's a whole nother story. I can go on that. But like, it's good for you. It'll make you feel good. And it's going to mean the world to them. Probably right at the time when they really need it.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the same thing about your content, right?
Right.
You don't know when the algorithm decides to put your video in front of the right person who needs what you have. That's why you got to put it out there. It's just that simple. You have to do whatever it is that is your thing, because you never know when it's going to just drop in someone's lap that needs to see it, experience it, take advantage of it, whatever. And that's why you always just have to be ready. And I loved how you said the community and the crowdsourcing and stuff. Pay attention. If you're like, well, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do or whatever, what are people asking you about?
Right.
What do people commonly tell you you're good at? When you do your videos, what kind of feedback are you getting from it? And that will help you decide and source, like, I need to put more energy here. I need to do more with this. I need to talk more about this, because there were so many questions that people had, that I need to do another one. Think about the trainings or the classes that you offer. The more that you're getting, look at the questions that people are asking you. Yes, in the moment you're answering, but when you go back for a review, oh, they're really asking more about this. Maybe I need to drill more into this, or offer an additional class or something for that, or just specific coaching for this area. All of that helps you build your brand, build who you are, build what it is that you're trying to do. And it helps you be more of a solution, and an effective solution for those who need what you offer.
Yes, an effective solution. Because it's so hard to know what is resonating with people unless they tell you. And often it's like this one off thing that you say that you don't even think much about that is like the key thing. And people are like, oh, this. So you got to put it out there, but you also got to ask too sometimes, because people aren't always going to tell you.
Yes.
They're not. Or you can have like a buddy that helps you out. I know one thing that I found when hosting virtual events, I wasn't the presenter. I was just the person like introducing, getting people on the stage, yada, yada. But then I would take like notes in the chat, basically publicly take notes of what I thought was like a key thing the speaker said. And it dawned on me, like after doing it a few times, I'm like, oh, hey, David, right? Lawhorn. Hey, David Lawhorn. This are the things that I captured that I thought was like really important for you. And this is actually true because he and I worked together. And he was like, oh, I didn't even realize, that specific thing. And I'm like, and you phrased it so well, and you probably didn't even know it, right? So it's so important to get that feedback from other people and to ask for it and to crave getting better. Because you're not going to know everything. You're not going to know what's hitting. And if you're anything like my spastic self, you're just going to say a lot of things and be a lot of things and then be like, wait, what did I say?
Was that a good point? Okay, great.
That was good. Oh, good to know.
Glad that resonated with you.
Wait, I got to write that down myself.
Right. I said that, that happened to me. Like,
somebody was like, you need more of your own quotes. I was like, but I don't know what I say. That's great. Say things.
That was good.
No, noted. You got to tell me. Oh, that's so funny. So we got Betty here with us as well. She says, oh, thanks, Betty. You're a natural. Surprised that you find this super scary. Fun fact. Yeah, it's super scary to put yourself out there. I don't know about you, Renee, but like, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird to just put yourself in such a public position. Yes. And I think you're right. You have to admit when it's not great. And that's why I don't shy away from that anymore. I used to try to live the perfect little life, the perfect little like Barbie doll life, right? And I've given up on that. It's part of the reason I chopped my hair off. I'm like, screw it. We're done. Like, moving on. Like, people don't want to see that anymore, though. And I've had a couple conversations about this. I don't know what you think. I don't think people want to see perfection anymore.
Yeah. Because perfection is subjective. Just like, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? Like, like what you love, other people don't love. What other people love, you may not love. And so the biggest thing is authenticity, because everybody can connect with, like, I'm having a bad day.
Right.
I'm having family situations. There's folks who are worried about their health. Like, you just live and exist, and you can have experiences that relate to that. And that builds that connection, that builds that deeper, oh, you know what? She's going through it. And just the shock of this person who I think has it all together, deals with things too, makes it more, I connect with them even more. Like, you know what? You can still be like great and having it together and have problems. Because
absolutely
perfect life. And like you said, perfection. And the world is now being honest about it, more honest. And that goes back into like culture and accountability, right? Like, if you're not even presenting the truth as we as a culture know what's going on, then that's a problem. And so if I'm your consumer, I'm talking about that. That's a problem for me, that you're not being authentic, that you're not, we love the color green and you're only putting out things that are yellow and blue, right? But we want green. And
they're demanding those colors.
Up, right? Right? Because I'm looking at the colors, right? So we're demanding that, right? And so that's the same thing about your consumers. Like, it's the same way. And I teach my clients and everyone to focus on who is the end user, right? Like, who is on the other side of what it is that you do? Because there's a person there. There's a person that's going to buy. There's a person that's going to do it. So what are they like? What do they need? What do they want? And that's another way that'll help you get out of yourself and
your own head
and why I need to do that. It's like, it's not about me, because I'm not creating this, or I don't offer these services for me. I'm offering them for my end user. So really understanding who's at the other end, like you said, it's not about you, right? Understanding who's at the other end will also help jolt you out of your stuff, right? So like I have clients. So well, I may be having a bad day, and sometimes you have to take a moment, and that's okay. But I can't also sit down because they need me. I'm supposed to respond back to their assignments. They need me to give them feedback on this. We have to meet at such and such time. So I've got to figure it out, like, fix my face and put some makeup on and turn on this ring light and let's go, right? Because
girl problems.
Accountability for me. I said that, you're working with me. This is what you're going to get. This is what our contract says and everything like that. So I have to be accountable on my end, and that's another way. And so I found that the more I keep going, what clients, everything, the more that it holds me accountable to do even the things that I'm telling them to do, right? Like I've got to hold myself to that same standard. Now it's hard, but you have to do it, right?
It is hard.
At the end of the day, it works. So that's the same thing. But yeah, it's definitely not about you. I love that. It's not about you.
I mean, it's that. So I did a talk yesterday, the day before, about like how to be confident on camera, and that was like one of my it's not about you, but that goes for so many things. Like you really just got to focus on the one person that you're helping and how you can pay it forward. And I think a lot of people, and myself included for a while, was like scared to put out information for free. Well, I guess I wasn't super scared. I think I'm an oversharer, actually. I probably give too much information, but that's just my style. But like, if you're worried about, giving things away for free, you got to think like you're going to share some knowledge, and you're not going to give away everything, first of all, because there's never enough time for that, right? But you're going to be perceived as that expert, as the person who knows about this. So some people are going to say, okay, I'm going to run with it and do it myself. And some people are going to be like, okay, cool. Well, Renee's house to do this, so I'm just going to go hire Renee to help me do this.
Right. Right.
But she's there already.
But you also never give it all away, because you can talk about the same thing over and over, give all the details, all the steps and everything. People still need accountability, and they still need help as it is specific to them. That's why you need a coach. That's why you need a mentor. They need that person saying, hey, you can do this. Or you know what? Yeah, I told you this is the process, but you might get stuck here because you don't know how to load this and how to work around that, or your schedule is doing this. So how do I get past this blind spot that I have, or this area, right? So that's where you step in. That's why you're needed. And again, there are over 7 billion people in the world, right? So let's say you gave it away for free on Clubhouse, right? Yep. So let's say you have a room with 100 people in it, okay? That's 100 out of 7 billion, right? Let's say you have like 5,000, 50,000 reviews on your YouTube or your Facebook, whatever, I love that. Right?
But still
7 billion people in the world, right? You can give the information over and over and over again and still need to talk to somebody about, okay, now what should be my first step? I know the first step is get out there, but how do I get out there given my unique situation, right? My life or what I want to do. How do I present this? What is the way? You never give it all. And then you are an unlimited resource. You have to know that. Like your mind, your creativity, your innovation, nobody else in the world is like you. So there's no way that they would be able to just take what you have and do it. How many people do the same thing? And all are still successful businesses, right? You said Tony Robbins and just list some other people who do exactly what Tony Robbins does. And there's still more people. If it was a max out kind of thing, Tony's been in the game for a long time, wouldn't even sit down by now. But you know what he does? He partners with new voices, upcoming speakers, all kind of stuff. And they benefit from being attached to him. And he benefits because now he's innovative, able to connect, do stuff that he doesn't physically have to do. But because he's connected, he still reaps the benefit of it, right?
Yeah,
and
totally.
Reaps the benefit of everybody knowing Tony Robbins, but now I'm on Tony Robbins' stage, so you're gonna call me to be on your stage because I was on Tony Robbins' stage. And I can get
you that credibility. Yep. But you could probably come for a little less than Tony.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But you can still make a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. But you're connected to Tony. So like it's just like TEDx, right?
Right.
Anybody who's done a TEDx, you don't even have to be on the big TED Talk. You're just
right.
TEDx.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's a whole business, just TEDx, right? You have Yes You May going live. There are people that pay just to know how to go live.
Yeah, true.
So scared, so afraid, and that's why you send them to Amanda May Gray. Okay, you will help them do it. You know, you got to get with people who are doing it at a level of excellence. That's something that you want to be like. You want to show up like that. There's a lot of people who get clicked off of. Nobody follows them. Nobody reaches out to do business with them just because of all the barriers of their poor video. Right? Yeah. The poor way in which they communicate, because they don't have a good lighting. They're sitting in the corner, you know, they're blending in with the wall. All kinds of stuff is happening. They're coming in and out. I know you've been in those Zoom meetings. They come in and out of the image and stuff. You're like, what's happening with this person?
I feel like you've heard me preach once or twice.
Like, we just all have those same pet peeves, right? Like, it's just like, what are you doing? So
you can do this so much better. I promise.
Right,
I promise.
Right. But that's how you know that that's your thing, right?
Right.
Like because it creates that in you. And that's like people say, well, where do I begin? What is the thing that just it just bugs you? It just keeps it's a gnawing thing that you see it no matter what, wherever you are. It's like, that's my thing. That's what I need to address. You know, if you mentioned Toastmasters. Somebody saw a need for people to have a safe space to be able to speak and talk, right? Where they could get good feedback in a supportive environment to help them grow and become better. It's the same thing with cameras, being on camera, being motivated. All of that rolls into what's the thing that causes you the heartburn. And that's why you help people. Be on camera, talk live.
Brilliant.
Go for it.
Brilliant. And man, it's like you see other people doing it and maybe they're not even doing it that well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the thing that people don't realize too. And it's the first thing that I teach people, and it's just the number one key. Doesn't matter what you do, whatever it is.
I'm listening.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Somebody can get on social media every day and say the sky is green. Every day that they show up and do it, people are going to follow them because they're crazy and they just think it's crazy that they're coming to say the sky is green. They're going to be people who believe, you know what, based on the information they provide, the sky is green, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, on these days it's green, right? They may just get on to argue and fight about it, right? But the point is, they will grow a following because they are consistent in what it is that they're doing. I don't care what you do. If you are consistent about it, you will grow a following. You will grow just because you're consistent. So every day I tell people, just do like 3 things, just 3 little things. And even if you just do one small thing every single day, it just puts you one step closer to where you need to be. And I always say, eat the elephant one bite at a time. So don't worry about the whole elephant. Let me just one little bite, just one little thing, you know, let me schedule the date, right? I've done that before too. Like, have a class, I'll just schedule the date and put it out there. So now I have to do it.
Now right? I got my accountability.
Because I put it out there. I have to do it. And then people start registering. I really have to do it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not gonna be by myself.
I really gotta figure this out, right? You know? Now, so even if you don't have it all together and you don't like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do, when I'm gonna do it, or whatever, like, you're gonna have it together by that date, by that time, because you put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another way that I help myself do the things that I don't want to do. Because the fact is, I need to do it. I may not feel like it. You know, I may be having fear or all these other things that are trying to prevent me from doing it. But boom, send, post, do it anyway. That's right. Boom. Do it anyway. You timed that perfectly, Amanda. Do it anyway.
I knew where I was going. I was like, I got this. I'm so excited. I'm so excited I have this keyed up already. The little things sometimes get me super excited. I'm like, yes, do it anyway. Mel Robbins is big on that. Yeah. She's very big on the do it anyway. Period. So that's where you come in for people, is you help them stay accountable. You help give them some guidance talk with them, figure out where the heck they at, where the heck they need to go, and keep them on track, right? I mean, is that's
That's what I do.
why people need to see you.
Yeah. See me. Call me to help you to do it anyway.
Absolutely. To do
Then
it
call
anyway.
Amanda to do it on the camera. Yeah, but I help people do it anyway. And through practical strategy, because the thing that is missing with a lot of people is, what's my strategy? Like, what is my process? I did 3 simple things. We look at your process, how you're flowing right now, what you're trying to do, then we look at, what are you saying? Your messaging, how are you saying it? How are you reaching the people that you say that you need to reach? And then how to do it anyway. Basically, how do we expand this brand? Now we've decided all these things. Now, what are we going to look like? And how are we going to consistently show up? And what are the ways to do it? Because everywhere you go, it has to be, and I like practical because you got to be able to implement it. Like effectiveness, effective, like that's my word. Because
if you can't implement it, then it don't matter.
It's pointless, right? It's totally pointless.
So pointless.
If I got to jump 10 hoops to get there, that's an issue. I need to know, what's my first step? Like, what's the first bite of the elephant? Then what's the next bite? But I'm not waiting until I get to a point and then I'm able to do it. I'm showing people how to do it at every point. I want you to be able to start with the skateboard, go to a bike, go to a motorbike, to go into actual motorcycle, to a car, to a van, to a bus, right? I don't want you putting just one wheel on, then the next wheel, then we'll add a door, and then but nothing's moving. We want to be moving at each stage. Right now, we're just on the skateboard. And guess what? We're getting to that bike. Okay. Then we're moving to the motorbike. So, but we're still moving. So I'm still able to get to point A to B. But each time I come around, I'm more efficient. It's more resourceful. I'm able to manage it. And then I'm able to do more. I'm able to do it faster. But first, let's put it in place. Let's put the process in place so that we can continue to do it. Because one of the biggest things that, people struggle with, even when they make it big or be successful, whatever, is growing too fast without having your foundation in place, right? So how do you manage this influx of new customers and clients? Like, do you have the infrastructure? Can they easily take advantage of what it is that you sell or you offer? Okay. Right. And that's where those checks and the accountability and all those things come into play. And people don't think about that. So while you're starting, you're thinking of the entire process as you're starting. You're not just starting and then there's nothing, right? You're starting, people are engaged. What are you offering? What are you offering? Because now they want more. Let's give it to them. So no, I don't have okay, maybe you start out, you don't have your 8-week course together, but you got a class. Mm-hmm. You've got a webinar. You've got a live, you've got a t-shirt, you've got a postcard,
right?
You got a magnet, you have a saying, all of that, just getting you started. Then eventually you can have a store. Think about clothing, right? People may start out with a t-shirt or two, 2 styles, 2 colors, right?
It's a start though.
They start, and then eventually they'll have a whole store with all these different varieties and different things like that, because you now have grown to the level to be able to do that. But it's okay. You just have to start, because at the end of the day, they need that stamp from you. They need that. Yes, you may. They need it. So that's the stamp, Just give us. I'm here for a yes, you may t-shirt. Let's go. Let's go.
I hadn't even thought of that. Look at
Let's go. Pink is my favorite color, but I'll wear whatever. Right? They're like, what's that?
Hey, I like pink. We could do other colors.
You're like, what? Yes, you may. This is your permission to stand up and do and be whatever it is that you need to be. Yes, you may. You have permission to talk about that subject, to sell that product, to be creative, to be innovative. Yes, you may. So many different ways you can play that.
So many ways. And I was listening to a different podcast, and they were like, you are always the best position to help the person you once were.
Yes. I love that.
You're always best positioned to help the person you once were.
Yes.
And that really struck home with me, which is like how this all started, right? At one point I was like, I don't know what to create. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to create what I wish was out there.
Mm-hmm.
I am not the most confident person in the world. I have struggled with self-confidence, with motivation. I struggle with self-image. I struggle hardcore with perfectionism, right? And so I was like, well, I'm just going to make that content because the more I talk about it, the better I'm going to feel about myself. And then I was like, oh, I could interview people about this.
Boom.
Boom. And then I'm going to get to talk to
Solution.
people that are helping me, right? So create the
Solution.
content that you wish was out there, but also help the person you once were. Solve the problem you once had and share that solution with other people.
That's all business is. That's all it is. It's solving problems. I mean, that's all I'm doing. I mean, because I know what it's like to be stressed, to have all these skills, talents, abilities, and like, I'm going to do it. And then you get up and it's like, right? And then you're like, well, do I keep going or do I keep doing it? Well, I'll do it again. And then, you know, so then the things, the tips, the tools, the things you learn, do it anyway, right? The things you learn are what you were able to help somebody else. And again, so you know what it's like to deal with that. And everybody struggles with it. Everybody. So it's a message that everybody can connect to, right? It's a message. It's something that everybody needs, whether they're selling, whether they're going to be dancing, singing, whatever. Everybody deals with negativity, negative thoughts, comparison, you know, imposter syndrome, like all these kind of things. Everybody deals with. And there is over 7 billion people. Okay. All right. So maybe there's those few people who say, well, that's not my problem. That's fine. We will take away 2 billion for that.
Right,
okay.
That's fine. You're not going to be right for everybody. You're not right for everybody. And that is okay.
If you get,
I think I'm going to call you the 7 billion person woman. I don't know. I got to come up with a saying. I'm going to come up with a saying for you.
I was doing a speech for a city. They were professionals. They were business owners in this one specific city, and I just looked up the population of the city, and I said, your city alone has 100,000 people, right? Okay, so there was probably about 40 or 50 businesses on the Zoom call at that time. So I was like, if even each of you just got 100, if each of you just had 1,000, you still wouldn't service your city. We're not even talking about
not even a fraction,
city, right? So and I'm like, and would 1,000 customers change any of your lives? And they were like, yes, of course. Exactly, right? So like, okay, there's 2 or 3 or 10 or 100 or 1,000 who weren't interested. All you need is 1,000, right? All you need is 100. All you need is 10, right? If your price is right, you got the right prices, you know. So that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, so it's okay. So that's why you can't even be stopped by no. Like, no is just not next opportunity. Okay, not now. Okay, but who cares? So you say no. 7 billion in the world. One city, 100,000. Okay. All right. But I'm saying the world because you're on social media. So now you are exposed to the world. Literally anybody who has access. And let me even just clarify it even further, right? Okay. Facebook. There's over 2 billion on Facebook alone. Okay.
So they only have 2 billion out of 7 billion.
7 billion, right? So even
not even half.
Even your auntie who doesn't log on but once a year, right? You know what I mean? Even excluding them. Okay, because it's over 2 billion. Over 2 billion, right? And that was like that statistic was, we're not even talking about how they have acquired, Instagram and WhatsApp, and like we're not gonna go down the list of the other places that are integrated in Facebook that use it. So we're not even there. Okay. So just so you're exposed to 2 billion just by showing up on Facebook. Okay. Even with the algorithm and all of the stuff that come along with that, right? Let's be a modest million. Okay, modest million. Okay,
I'd take a modest million. Right? Who wouldn't?
We'll just take a modest million. Okay, we'll take a modest 100,000. Okay, We'll take
I have a new
50,000.
saying, actually. Focus on helping 1 million people, and the $1 million will follow.
Definitely.
I think
Definitely.
so many people are focused on how do I make the dollar? How do I make $1 million? Like, can you help one person today?
Period.
How can you help? What's your goals? So like for me, by the